This morning on Connecticut's news station, there are electric bill issues that a lot of you have seen, and it's only going to get worse next month. But the electric companies themselves, those utilities, are pointing the finger elsewhere. We'll tell you who they're pointing it at.
A Hartford gang member connected to the 2020 Majestic Lounge shooting learns his fate, how many years he'll spend behind bars.
Also, we'll tell you when you can start registering for the Manchester Road Race. And keep in mind, there is one small change to how you may get your bib this year.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Thanks so much for starting yours off with us. I'm Erica Arias.
And I'm Tim Lammers. Yes, happy Friday. Let's get this weekend planned. Interesting day up by the Massachusetts border for me, where I live, Rachel Piscatelli. For the longest time, it was thunder every 30 seconds, but no lightning and no rain, and that lasted that way for hours.
So Hartford area, I don't think we had anything.
Eventually we got some rain, but it was later in the afternoon,
and no
early
thunder,
evening.
None of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, in the afternoon and evening, especially for central and eastern areas. We did get some showers, even some thunderstorms, rumbles of thunder as well. That's quite interesting. I'm going to have to look back at the radar, Tim, to see kind of what was going on.
Looked like it was coming straight down 91 from Massachusetts.
Yeah, I'll have to look back at that. Warm and humid conditions today. We aren't expecting any rain today. Over the weekend, though, we are tracking a chance for some showers, although improvements are on the way, which is good. 66 degrees in Hartford right now, winds out of the north around 3 miles per hour. You're also noticing the fog over in the Hartford city camera as well. There is a fog advisory for the areas to the north of our state, but for us here locally, we don't have that, but there could be some patches of denser fog this morning. It's 62 degrees in New Milford, 68 right now in New Haven, 64 in Chester. Over the course of the day today, you'll see that the humidity does spike throughout the afternoon and into the evening, so we're almost falling in that very humid category at times this afternoon. So just notice that and kind of be mindful of that over the course of the day, with variable cloud coverage and temperatures that are in the mid to upper 80s. 88 degrees in Hartford, 87 degrees this afternoon towards the airport, and in the lower 80s along the immediate shoreline. We do have some rain chances over the weekend, although they look pretty limited. There are improvements to our Sunday forecast as well. More details on that coming up in just a bit. Right now out on the roads, I forgot I had to do that. We don't have any incidents to tell you about this morning, which is good news. So 91, 84 this morning, all looking good with green on the map. A live look outside as you're traveling through the Hartford Tunnel this morning on 84. Both directions are light. Your drive times over in Stonington now looking good. We did have some earlier road work. That has cleared for the morning commute. So 95 both directions. We do have light volume. Your drive times to the state lines here. Delays have not started to build from southbound 95 to New York state lines. Travel speeds are around 57 miles per hour. Tim and Erica, just around 53 minutes.
Rachel, thanks so much. All right, we have talked about this for years. Utility bills, specifically electric bills, getting out of control, but people really have hit their limit now. State regulators approved another increase this week after bills went up big time just last month. Well,
now lawmakers and the utility companies are both weighing in about what's going on, why this is happening, and how it can be addressed going forward. Fox 61's Angelo Bavaro joins us at the state capitol with what they're saying and what they're doing.
Tim, Erica, good morning. And lawmakers trying to plot a course of action at this moment. Democratic chairs of the Energy and Technology Committee say they did submit a request for those state regulators this week to reconsider approving those rate adjustments. All of this while customer anger, people at home, all that anger really boils over this morning.
The public benefits piece went from 6% of the bill to 26%. So in dollars, that equates to $18 to $96.
This bill, that's going to break my bank. Why the am I paying this?
Yeah, people not mincing words anymore. As lawmakers address all that frustration, they're also being blamed by the utility companies for those increases in the public benefits portion of the bill, which is based on usage. The utility companies say that section of the bill consists of pass-through costs of state-required and approved policies and initiatives, which the companies do not control, and they also do not keep any of that money. Now, for July, that benefits charge increased by $866 million spread out across all our bills over the next 10 months. That increase includes things like operating the electric grid, renewable energy programs, efficiency programs, and yes, a collection of $180 million in unpaid bills during the pandemic when power companies were not allowed to shut off service. But the biggest driver of that increase, about 77%, is the Millstone Nuclear Power Purchase Agreement. Customers now demanding immediate action from lawmakers who are proposing things like a special session or public hearing on this.
We want to sort of break down the barriers so that people's commentary, people's concerns can get into Pura's docket, because we want them to have the ability to revote, reconsider evidence, and we want to just make as many paths forward for people to get those comments into that record as possible.
It's not fair to the consumer who's been paying their bills the entire time to be forced to do all of this in one shot. We need to sit down at the table with Pura, with the governor's office, with the other side, and come up with a legitimate solution.
Now, some background here. That Millstone agreement, that dates back to 2017. Eversource and UI say they repeatedly expressed concern to regulators that pushing off the required state adjustments would eventually lead to rate shock, which is exactly, unfortunately, what we're seeing right now. Both companies, we'll hear from them coming up in the next hour. We're live outside the state capitol this morning. I'm Angelo Bavaro, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Okay, Angelo, thank you for that report. We appreciate it. At 6:06, let's get you now to a developing story in Branford, where a motorcycle rider was killed in a crash. It happened just before 7 last night on the 300 block of Main Street. Police said the motorcycle hit a car that was making a left turn. The rider was a 56-year-old man from Northford. He died at a hospital. The driver of the car stayed at the scene and is cooperating with police. Simsbury police released the name of a man who died in a similar motorcycle crash on Tuesday. They said 61-year-old James Ferreira was on a motorcycle that hit a pickup truck in Tariffville. This is at the intersection of Route 189 and Main Street. Police have not announced any criminal charges, and they have not yet said who is at fault.
It was a busy 24 hours for Hartford police. Right now, they're investigating a pair of shootings that put 2 people in the hospital. So officers responded to the intersection of Hungerford and Russ Streets for a report of gunshots. This was about 1:30 yesterday afternoon. Now, as they were arriving, they found the victim, a man in his 20s, running toward Broad Street. The man was taken to the hospital. We're told he is in critical condition but is stable. And then another shooting happened Wednesday night in the 100 block of Martin Street. As officers responded there and worked to figure out what happened, a man went to the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds. We don't know that man's condition this morning, and police don't have any suspects in either of the shootings. So if you know anything that can help, please call Hartford Police.
A Hartford gang member was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his part in a shooting that happened at a lounge 4 years ago. 43-year-old Carl Jones was convicted of illegally carrying a firearm and ammunition. Police said Jones is a member of Los Solitos. Now, they said Jones took the gun from another gang member, Marquise Treadwell, after Treadwell had just been shot at the Majestic Lounge on Franklin Avenue. By the way, Treadwell later died. But police said Jones, after taking Treadwell's gun, used it to shoot 2 people, including the man who had just shot Treadwell. A fellow gang member named Joshua Saez is currently in prison for that shooting.
A Jamaican citizen has been sentenced to 32 years in prison in Hartford for narcotics trafficking and other crimes as well. Prosecutors say 45-year-old O'Neill Wilkes was living under a false identity in California when he was selling large amounts of drugs. Now, they say those drugs were being distributed in and around Bridgeport. Investigators learned about Wilkes after they arrested a man who was getting drugs from him. They say Wilkes was removed from the U.S. in 2014, but returned the next year.
Well, this morning, veterans are being invited to learn more about what benefits they can get. The Disabled American Veterans Center in Milford will host a seminar from 9 a.m. to noon. If you plan on going, you're asked to bring your ID, Social Security number, and other documentation regarding your military service.
Today, dozens of student volunteers from the University of New Haven will team up with the United Way to tackle 3 community service projects. The action begins with a rally at 8 a.m. on campus. Some of the projects include a community garden cleanup, as well as helping at an assisted living center and helping campers at the Soundview Family
Middletown will hold its second annual back-to-school fair today. Organizers will give out school supplies at Beeman Middle School from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And any supplies that remain after the fair will be distributed to schools within the city. Well, we're a little over 2 weeks away from registration opening for the 88th Manchester Road Race.
Now, registration starts on September 1st at 5 a.m. The race, of course, taking place on Thanksgiving Day, November 28th, 10 a.m. The entry fee is $32 for runners who sign up online before midnight, October 1st. And then the fee goes up to $37 after that. Race officials say that's because the rising cost of sending mail. They're no longer going to send bibs for free. If you want your bib delivered, there is going to be an extra fee. Everything you need to know about the race and how to register is online on our website at fox61.com.